Hi, my friend. My name is Steven with Synergistic Nutrition. I've been doing nutritional counseling and research for 35 years, and I'm wanting to share with you the how to alkalinize the body so that you have more muscle endurance. So I was just shared with today from a friend that Olympic athletes are using baking soda as a means of increasing endurance because baking soda has bicarbonates in it. Bicarbonates will neutralize the lactic acid in the muscles so that when you are exercising, your lactic acid production is neutralized and therefore the muscles do not fatigue as quickly. So you increase your endurance. So as it says here in this particular article, it was a very fast Olympics, half of the distance running events, 6 of the 12 men's and women's races between 800 meters and the marathon saw new Olympic records. The newest superheroes had something to do with it, and the fancy new track probably did too. There's also a new, more aggressive approach to racing that seems to be spreading. But there's something else too. According to Canada's Marco ARP, whose silver medal performance in the 800 meters, a mere hundredth of a second behind Emmanuel Wanyonyi of Kenya, made him the 4th fastest man in history. Just a week before the Olympics, AROP decided to try something new, something that he'd never tried before, but that, according to an anonymous Olympic runner quoted in the Telegraph, at least 80% of elite athletes are using sodium bicarbonate, better known as baking soda. I figured if everybody else is using it, AROP said in his post-race interview, and it's been working wonders. So there you have an Olympic athlete testifying from empirical results for his own body that his ability to run both in speed and in endurance increased as a result of taking baking soda. So the human body produces bicarbonates through the kidneys. When your kidneys are healthy, they produce bicarbonates so that they can neutralize carbonic acid that's produced by the body as a result of metabolism. And then muscles produce lactic acid as a result of their byproduct of converting glucose into energy. But what I want to share with you today is that your body's alkalinizing the various minerals that it can use to alkalinize the muscles and the tissues. There's a variety of them. You got magnesium, you got sodium, you got potassium, but the most significant one is ionic calcium. So this is the form of calcium typically produced by your body only. I met a man that in the late 1990s produced a supplemental form of ionic calcium that we call atomic calcium. And this product has produced wonders for people, both for athletic endurance and for bone formation. And some of the side effects of restoring bone density to the jawbone is a restoration of gums. In other words, reversing gum recession. So I'm showing you this study in the National Library of Medicine where it says calcium is an essential element that serves an important role in skeletal mineralization. More than 99% of calcium in the body is stored in the bone as hydroxyapatite calcium. Calcium in this form provides skeletal strength as well as a reservoir for calcium to be released into the serum. In serum, calcium exists in 3 forms. So in your blood, it exists in 3 forms: protein-bound, ionized free, which is the Ca2 plus ionic calcium, and complex chelated. Protein-bound calcium, which accounts for 40% of the serum calcium, cannot be used by the tissues. Albumin and globulin are the primary calcium-binding proteins in serum, whereas calmodulin is the primary calcium-binding protein in the cell. Chelated calcium, which accounts for 9% of the serum calcium, allows calcium to be absorbed by various tissues or carried between parts of the body. Serum calcium is often chelated into the ionic complexes of calcium phosphate, calcium carbonate, and calcium oxalate. Finally, free calcium, this free calcium is referring to the Ca2 plus ionic calcium. Ca2 plus stands for calcium missing 2 electrons. Finally, free calcium, which makes up 51% of the serum calcium, is utilized by the body to maintain physiological functions. So what they just said there is that it's used by the body to actually maintain bone formation, intracellular pH of 7.35, cell division processes of the cell dependent upon ionic calcium, Energy production depended upon the mitochondria having ionic calcium as a part of creating ATP. Adult stem cell production is dependent upon ionic calcium. Ionic calcium tells your glands to release hormones, so you've got some degree of hormone production or release dependent upon that. Muscle contractions dependent upon ionic calcium. The firing of your nerves is somewhat dependent upon ionic calcium. And the human, like I said earlier, the human body produces ionic calcium, Ca2 plus, on its own efficiently up to age 35. After age 35, your production declines. Like most other functions related to biological youthfulness, they decline after age 35. Growth hormone production, all your other steroid hormone production, your metabolic enzymes, your pancreatic enzymes, your hydrochloric acid, everything starts to decline in its production the older you get, with 35 being the demarcation point of the precipitous drop from that point on. So if 51% of your blood plasma calcium is supposed to be Ca2 plus ionic calcium, and your production is declined after age 35, so by the time you're in your 40s, 50s, and 60s, you're chronically deficient. Then what happens is your parathyroid gland, you've got these 4 dots of tissue on your parathyroid, on your thyroid gland, called your parathyroid tissue, that monitors the levels of ionic calcium in your blood at all times. When it drops below 51%, the parathyroid says there's a deficiency. It turns on parathyroid hormone production. Parathyroid dissolves bone to compensate. The calcium comes out of the bone as a calcium phosphate crystal that cannot be reabsorbed back into the bone. And now you're in a chemistry state where that calcium phosphate crystal will be more readily able to deposit in your joints and in your soft tissues as pathogenically deposited calcium, causing hardening of the soft tissues, hardening of your heart, blood vessels, hardening of your organs, your brain, everything. So if you want to reverse that, if you want to turn off this deposition of calcium into the soft tissues, you have to turn off your parathyroid hormone production. You have to increase your ionic calcium levels in your blood back up to 51%. And the only way I know to do that once you're after that age 35 is by taking ionic calcium supplementally. So when you take calcium as a supplement, it's either amino acid chelate or protein chelate, or inorganic calcium oxide, calcium gluconate, calcium lactate, various acids that have been reacted with calcium oxide to produce a calcium bound, an acid-bound calcium, an acid-neutralized calcium. So none of those forms of supplemental calcium will address your Ca2 plus needs, your ionic calcium needs. Only taking ionic calcium on an empty stomach, because you don't want it to go into the small intestines. You want it to absorb through the stomach wall. When it absorbs through the stomach wall, it's going to then raise the levels of Ca2 plus in your blood back up to 51% or better. Your parathyroid shuts off. You stop dissolving bone to compensate for the deficiency because that's gone. You start to now be in a chemistry state that causes bone formation to restore bone density. And you start to reverse calcium that's built up pathogenically in your soft tissues. And you're addressing the pH needs of the cells so that you stay the 7.35 neutral pH. You neutralize the acids in your tissues from muscle and cellular metabolism. So I've written a report about our supplement called Atomic Calcium that provides you this ideal rare form of ionic calcium. And one of the testimonials we got years ago when a person took this product was the following. An athlete who took our Atomic Calcium product and immediately won his next 2 marathons in Hawaii and Southern California. So what that's saying is that this athlete, and athletes of course are on the higher end of athletic abilities, but they still have basic biochemistry needs to be able to perform optimally. And in this case, this gentleman took our ionic calcium supplement, Atomic Calcium, and this resulted in neutralizing so much more of his lactic acid production during his marathon that he won the next 2 marathons. Okay, so why do I say all this? I say all this because in the literature, even though the body requires sodium, it's needed by the body for a lot of functions, and it can be used successfully as baking soda to neutralize lactic acid. The body's actual blood chemistry is not reliant upon sodium in high amounts to neutralize acids. the body's reliant upon Ca2+, based upon blood analysis. So the body needs 51% of its blood plasma calcium to be Ca2+, but it's deficient. And then, of course, when you're expending yourself athletically, all your mineral values will drop because you're using them up. You're using them to neutralize acids. And so if you don't supplement to compensate for your body's production of lactic acid and lowering your alkaline minerals as a consequence of that lactic acid production and as a consequence of sweating, then your level of endurance will be correspondingly shortened. If you could simply take ionic calcium as a supplement, you would then neutralize these acids and restore intracellular pH to be 7.35, and pH controls oxygen levels. pH, when it's 7.35, basically allows for optimal oxygen levels within the cell, which then allows for optimal creation of ATP or energy, because just like the carburetor of your car, your mitochondria need oxygen present so that when they run the electron transport chain and they're converting glucose into energy, and the oxygen has to be there, therefore you get maximum creation of ATP from every molecule of glucose, and that number ideally is supposed to be 32 units of ATP for a molecule of glucose. And little to no lactic acid production. To the degree that your pH is acidic or lower than 7.35 in the cell, is a lowering of oxygen and therefore a lowering of the conversion of glucose into energy and the creation of more lactic acid. Okay, so the analysis that I've done on this product, atomic calcium, I called it Calronic. So you'll see here the name. This is a Eurofins lab, a certificate of analysis for the levels of ionic calcium in a 1/8 teaspoon serving of this product. And so you can see here, it says ionic calcium determined using client's supplied prep procedure, which is 1/8 of a teaspoon reacted with 8 ounces of distilled water. And it says right here, 23.5 milligrams per serving size. Now, the only other competitor on the market that supplies ionic calcium is this company called Pronivia. They sell their product called Margin. Margin has only 8 milligrams per teaspoon serving. They require you to take 3 teaspoons a day to get a therapeutic effect if you're trying to reverse bone loss. And if you're dealing with anything else more serious like cancer or autoimmunity, they want you to be on 4 teaspoons a day. It's very inconvenient. They want you to take it on an empty stomach each time, which that's required, but they want you to drink 17 fluid ounces of water. So 17 fluid ounces of water in one setting, one 30-minute setting, is more than the body would be able to absorb cellularly. So it's going to turn on diuresis. It's going to turn on the body's mechanisms for making urine to get rid of the excess fluids, because basically the body is always trying to stay in homeostatic balance. And so that much water at one setting, it's not going to be in balance. So it's going to want to create the mechanism called diuresis to turn on the production of urine to get rid of all that excess water. Their product is $450 for a 250 milliliter bottle. You need 2 of those bottles minimum a month to get 3 teaspoons a day in if you're going to do the minimum program. So it becomes very cost prohibitive for the vast majority of people. Atomic calcium gives you almost 4 times the amount of ionic calcium per serving, so it gets a much stronger effect. I've used both. I've used Margin for 1.5 years. Then I switched to this. I had dental issues that improved dramatically on this product. It improved slightly on the Margin, but it improved more on the atomic calcium. My teeth got tighter. The chewing surface of my teeth where I had pockets grew back in by a percentage, 40%, 30%. So there's less pockets now. I have no gum recession. I had gum problems before. I've been off of this atomic calcium for months at a time, or weeks at a time, and if I go too long, my gums start hurting. I resume taking this product, all my gum pain goes away. It feels like it's receding, and it all goes away. The pain and the feeling of gum recession goes away. Here's a testimony that I got from Tina Evans, where she wrote me this. Hi, Steve. I was able to transition from the outrageously overpriced product Margin to atomic calcium seamlessly. I feel my heart has healed in the past year from taking it in conjunction with 2 other products that I take daily. Also, Cardio 3 capsules are a great benefit to regulating my heartbeat and minimizing my POTS or AFib. Atomic calcium lasts me 2 months for a fraction of the cost, and in this nightmare economy, that's a great blessing. Overall, I sleep better, maintain a healthy weight, and know that my heart health has improved in the last year since taking atomic calcium and Cardio 3 capsules. Okay, so atomic calcium is unique to my company, Synergistic Nutrition, which you can see right here is the website. And you can see here that the atomic calcium can be purchased single bottles or get discounts for buying 2, 3, and 6 at a time. So the product that Tina was referring to is called Cardio 3 Plus. Cardio 3 Plus is one of a variety of peptide formulas created by the company Garmonia out of St. Petersburg, Russia, where the Russian military did all the research to discover a repair mechanism in the human body that gets shut down when you're living under high levels of stress. So you could be in your 20s and be in a high level of stress, and the production of peptides that cause your heart or any tissue of your body to repair gets shut down. So that repair process shuts down. You start to experience aging and non-recovery of health to organ systems. So whether you are under high stress or have disease, or you are advanced in age, the peptide production that causes cells to repair and maintain their youthful state is no longer operating optimally or efficiently at all. The Russians discovered that you could derive these peptides from healthily raised cows. And so these healthily raised cows, their glands are used they extract from the glands specific peptides that are bioidentical to what the human body produces, so they are 100% compatible with your body. So I have used this product, Cardio 3 Plus, to repair my heart because I used to have atrial fibrillation. I used to have heart arrhythmia, and those symptoms feel like they're gone by 99%. And this product and another product that's a neonatal glandular work together to get the best results to repairing the heart. But this Cardio 3 Plus is used to repair not only the heart, but the vessel system and your liver. So as you can see, the peptides in this are vessel peptides, which means it's going to repair your blood vessel system to become younger and stronger, and your heart peptides to rebuild the heart itself, and the liver peptides to rebuild the liver itself. So Tina took this product plus the atomic calcium and had all these miraculous results with regards to her heart, restoring its more healthy state of function. When you're trying to rebuild an organ of your body back to a younger, healthier, stronger state, then I recommend, I've had these results for myself, I've had clients have these same results, that you combine it with the neonatal glandulars. You take any one of the Cavinson peptide formulas or individual glandulars. So in this case, you've got the Cardio 3 Plus gives you 3 peptides in one. I like to get these 3 peptides in one wherever possible, because then you've got 3 peptides that are costing you $214 compared to buying the peptides individually that are $134 for individual peptides bought at a month supply at a time. So you can either spend $214 for 3 peptides in one formula for a month supply, or you can spend $134 times 3 to get those same 3 peptides. So I prefer to do that. It's much more economical. And it's the same dosage, same concentration or amount of peptide per capsule as individual versus the 3-in-1 formula. So I've used the Gastro 3 Plus to rebuild my GI tract. I've used the Glandicor to rebuild my adrenals. And when I do this, I do it in conjunction with the corresponding neonatal glandular, because these ones are signaling the DNA to orchestrate protein synthesis. That process of protein synthesis signaling still requires the building blocks to take and rebuild the protein structure of the gland you're trying to rebuild. Your heart, your digestive tract, your liver, your adrenals, your thyroid, whatever. You take Cardio 3 Plus, and then you also take Cytozyme H. What does Cytozyme H give you? Cytozyme H gives you both the inside of the cells building blocks, so called the cytoplasm, and the cell membrane. So part of restoring the health to all the tissues of your body is rebuilding both the internal cellular contents, the cytoplasmic contents, and the cell membrane. When you take a neonatal glandular, you are taking something that has been an animal that's been born and raised for this purpose. They're less than a year old. Their tissues are they're twice the amount of RNA DNA that would be found in a 2-year-old older animal's glands. And a 2-year-old animal's glands are going to have a lot of age pigments called lipofuscin, and they're going to have a lot of connective tissue. When you take a neonatal glandular, there's no connective tissue, and there's no age pigments called lipofuscin. And there's twice the RNA DNA content, which is basically twice the amount of nutritional repair building blocks for rebuilding your gland. So if you're trying to rebuild your heart, my recommendation is to take Cytozyme H with the Cardio 3 Plus foundationally. And lastly, when you take baking soda to create endurance in your muscles, you're not supporting your bone density. So when you take ionic calcium to neutralize excess acids in your muscles, you're taking the kind of alkalinization that the body's looking for, that gets the most efficient and best results with. So you end up supporting many, many systems of your body, like I said, with the adult stem cells, the intracellular pH, the energy production, the cell division, the bone formation. All those things are supported by taking ionic calcium. They're not supported by taking baking soda. So if you're looking to improve your alkalinization and your endurance as an athlete, while at the same time benefiting all the other physiological systems of your body, including bone density and gum health, dental health, then you would switch from baking soda, or you can keep baking soda in the system, in the diet, and complement it with atomic calcium, and see if you don't get even more endurance than before, than you got with baking soda. So that's my challenge to you athletes out there. So thank you for your attention, and I hope that you experience the best level of athletic performance of your life after you've tried our atomic calcium product. Thank you so much.